One of the truly brilliant aspects of CrossFit is its inherent variety. We are constantly challenged across a multitude of fitness domains, from strength and power to speed, agility and endurance. This constant variation keeps things interesting and ensures a well-rounded approach to athleticism. However, this also presents a unique challenge, figuring out where to focus your training efforts. Think of it like this. You're a Swiss Army knife of fitness, but some of your tools might be a little duller than others. How do you identify which tools need sharpening? This is where benchmarks like the CrossFit Open and the Community Cup become invaluable. These events aren't just about testing your current fitness levels. They are powerful diagnostic tools that shine a spotlight on your strengths and, more importantly, your weaknesses. As a coach and in my own training, I use these competitions as crucial measuring sticks. They provide a clear snapshot of where I stand and help dictate where my training focus needs to shift. Consider how CrossFit workouts, and especially the Open, often present specific gatekeepers, points in the workout that become immediate barriers to progression. For gymnastics, this might be an inability to perform a single pull-up, or consistently struggling with toes to bar, always facing a daunting box jump height. In weightlifting, it's often hitting a specific weight that feels like an insurmountable wall. This year's Open Workout 25.3, for example, provided some clear targets. On the weightlifting side, 102 or 70 kilos for girls deadlifts, 61 kilo and 43 kilo cleans, 43 kilo and 29 kilo snatches. If you found yourself cruising through the deadlifts but getting stuck on the cleans, that's valuable information. It highlights an area where your fitness might be lagging behind others. The principle is simple. If your weightlifting numbers allow you to progress through workouts, but you're consistently held back by your gymnastic limitations, it's time to dedicate more focus on those bodywork skills. Conversely, if you're a gymnastics guru, but consistently struggle with the barbell, that's where your concentrated efforts need to go. For most of us, capacity and endurance are ongoing projects. Consistent training and maximizing intensity in our workouts will always yield results here. However, the more technical aspects like strength, weightlifting, and gymnastics often require a more targeted and deliberate approach. When we specifically look at the gymnastics, the foundational pillars are strength, bodyweight control, and mobility. And you can't build a house on shaky foundations, and the same applies to your gymnastics progression. So how do we determine where our foundation currently stands? Well, it starts with assessing our strict strength. Strict strength is the bedrock that allows us to perform full movements safely and efficiently. And while more explosive athletes might be able to kip their way through some movements, relying solely on momentum comes with a significantly higher risk of injury, a trade-off that is rarely worth it. So let's break down some key areas on how to assess your current strict gymnastic strength. Looking at rig work, so your pull-ups and your toes to bar. First of all, can you hang in an active shoulder position for longer than 30 seconds? This demonstrates basic shoulder stability and engagement. If we consider toes to bar as an entry-level movement, can you perform a strict leg raise to 90 degrees with control? Can you then progress to a strict toes to bar, bringing your toes all the way to the bar, using only your core and shoulder strength? For pull-ups, after a solid active hang, can you perform a full, from that hang position, strict pull-up over the bar, getting your chin fully above? Wall walks, handstands, handstand press-ups. Can you perform a full wall walk under control? This is often preceded by the ability to hold a straight arm plank for over 60 seconds, indicating you've got sufficient core and shoulder stability. Once you're comfortable with wall walks, can you confidently kick up to a handstand and hold a stable position for over 30 seconds? And can you also hold a headstand for a similar duration? This progression will eventually lead to strict handstand press-ups before even considering a kipped version, unless you have a penchant for neck strains. Now, I'll delve deeper into specific progressions for these movements in a future blog. The crucial takeaway here is that we need to accurately identify our starting point before we can create an effective plan for improvement. And this is where here at CrossFit Open, our free quarterly check-ins for athletes can be incredibly beneficial. We can help to assess your current strengths and weaknesses and develop a targeted strategy. Now remember, CrossFit is a journey built on consistency over the long term. Once you establish your current level and begin to plan your attack on those weaknesses, be patient. Development takes time, and the timeline will vary depending on your training history, your body composition, and your natural strengths. In my own experience, coming into CrossFit after years of training for golf and then focusing on hypertrophy after that, I had a decent foundation of strict strength. I could already perform a strict toes to bar, I could kick out to a handstand, and I could do strict pull-ups before my first WOD. But even with this head start, the journey to learning more advanced movements have taken time. A strict handstand press up took me a year, chest to bar pull-ups 2 years, ring muscle up 3 years, bar muscle up 4 years, handstand walk 7 years, double unders 4 years. Now it's important to know that I wasn't solely focused on each of these movements for the entire duration. I generally concentrated on 1 or 2 at a time, ticked them off my list and then moved on. Even now, having achieved these skills, I'm revisiting the basics of muscle ups, because as I've gotten heavier and stronger, my efficiency has decreased, requiring a proper relearning of the technique. Now, if you're starting with a higher body fat percentage and less foundational strength, your timeline might be longer, but that shouldn't deter you. Just be realistic with your expectations and celebrate the small victories along the way. The key to progress is understanding your starting point and embracing the ongoing journey of improvement that is CrossFit. That's personally what keeps me coming back day after day, regardless of the previous day's successes or setbacks. Now, if you want to see more insights, more tips, follow us on YouTube and also check out our Instagram. Thanks for watching.